one of the things I want to do to have personal growth is to start to read and watch more people that maybe don't come from the same political or philosophical background as me. So I've been trying to make a move to do that, and I've had people recommended me. One of them is a man by the name of David Pakman, who has a YouTube show. He seems to be left-leaning and disagrees with me on a lot of things, but I think he's articulate, smart, and he's worth listening to. He just did a video that I wanted to talk about, which kind of went viral a little, and that's where he had a caller call in and basically make the claim that you can't be racist to white people because racism is defined as basically prejudice plus power. And to his credit, he disagreed with that, because to me, racism is anyone that has negative views on someone based on their race. Like that could be racist. You could be a homeless black man and be racist. Now, what your racism can affect might be directly attributable to how much power you have, but that doesn't mean you can't be a racist and just prejudge and hate someone based on their race. David Pakman correctly articulates this. Yes, you could be black and be a racist. Yes, you could be a racist towards white people. And this girl disagrees. So I want to give Pakman credit for that. But where I disagree with Pakman is he says, luckily, this isn't a prevalent view. And I think that he's absolutely wrong. I could talk about anecdotal evidence, and I'll present some links here that just show, but this is actually very pervasive in academia, particularly in areas like critical race theory and ideas of intersectionality, which have a foothold in many universities across this country and across other countries like Canada. In fact, I could link to the Alberta Civil Rights Union talking specifically about how, in their definition, there is no possibility to be racist towards white people because white people have power, therefore you can't be racist towards them. I'll link all kinds of other academic studies and articles that talk about this. A recent example that showed many prominent people talking this, including people from the Huffington Post and other areas, was Sarah Jung. When she got hired by the New York Times as an editor, she had tweets that were saying like, cancel all white people, I hate white people, blah, blah, blah. And these people defending her said, well, that can't be racist because she's a person of color and therefore it's not possible for her to be racist towards whites because whites have power. So this is a very prevalent argument, and I think that Pakman's making this claim out of ignorance, that he doesn't think it's that prevalent. Now, he's right that you don't want to just smear an entire group of people based on the most extreme views, like whether it be the right or the left. But you have to be honest about how common are those views, and are those views being mainstreamed by the people with power within that ideology. So in other words, if some loons on, YouTube or on Reddit say some crazy stuff and they're right wing or they're left wing, that's not something that is as important as if the president who's right wing says it, or the people running for president or running the Republican or Democratic Party say it, or the people that are teaching people that are professors and stuff. That has more of an impact. And we can see that a lot of people in academia and a lot of mainstream people in like the mainstream media make these type of arguments. In particular, this was an argument that Louis Farrakhan made over and over. And he's been visited by members of the Black Congressional Caucus. He's been in pictures with Barack Obama, and he's now kind of being denounced as like, whoa, a lot of this is too much. But for years, he was allowed to go on a bridge. I could give anecdotal evidence. When I was in debate, and you were debating some of the, there's no divisions. I would debate people in Ivy League schools. This was a very common argument in debate, very common. It was, in fact, probably the more common accepted definition of racism, that you couldn't be racist unless you had power, that it's prejudice plus power, and therefore it's impossible for blacks to be racist towards whites. So while I commend Pakman for making his argument that, yeah, that's ridiculous, anyone regardless of power can be racist, I think that he's absolutely wrong when he says that this isn't a prevalent thought. I'm not saying that the majority of people that have a problem with racism think that, but it's certainly a lot, and they're in strategic positions like the Huffington Post or the political world or academia. And I'll post some links that show that. By no means is that definitive, though. And the last thing I'll say is I've started to see, granted, I have to plead ignorance, and it's not like I've watched 40 hours of Pakman's work, but of the 8 or so hours that I've been watching, he seems to criticize people like Tim Pool or Dave Rubin because he says, well, they claim to be left-wing or centrist, but most of their complaints seem to go in this direction, like against left-wing people. And he says that somehow is a negative of them. Well, I would argue the fact that he's ignorant of this situation that that's going on the left is kind of detriment to him, and he should in fact research and see that this is more prevalent than he's letting on here, whether it be out of ignorance or not. So hopefully he will be able to correct this, or at least articulate where his evidence is that he doesn't think this is that big of a deal. Because the problem is, if we allow this kind of mentality to be mainstream, then you've in effect allowed and encouraged racism to occur, because you give people an excuse to hate people just for their skin color. So, hey, if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I'll be putting out more content. You can follow me at NorRobert on Twitter. So thanks a lot and have a good one.